Chapter 1, Luke's Origins. 12 professional fights, 12 wins, 0 losses, with 9 of those wins coming by the way of knockout. That's a record that you don't hear often, especially not from someone who comes from a gym known for its world-class grappling. But Luke Riley is not a normal fighter. In his fight against Alexander Loof, the perfect record was under serious threat. He was dropped, he was hurt, and for a second it looked like his 12-0 dream was over. But Luke didn't just survive, he thrived. That Scouse heart isn't a myth. It's what happens when you take a specialist striker and put him in a gym like Next Gen MMA. Now technically, Luke isn't a Scouser, he's from Widnes, but try telling that to the thousands of Scouse fans who treat him like he's one of our own. For years, Luke has been making the trip into the city multiple times a week just to be part of Next Gen's MMA gym. He didn't just walk into that gym and expect to be accepted. He showed up every day, trained hard, and earned everyone's respect to become part of the Next Gen family. Luke is different to most Next Gen MMA fighters. While the gym is known for being well-rounded, I think the gym's main strength is its high-level jiu-jitsu. Luke is a pure striker who came to Next Gen to build out his full MMA game, not just to sharpen the tools he already had. He's been training with a fiery intensity since he was 9 years old, and if you think I'm exaggerating about how much this lad loves a scrap, listen to what he told the Liverpool Echo when he was 13 years old. At my age, I find it disappointing we have to wear padding. I would prefer if there was no padding at all, and we could fight with bare shins and use all the moves. In Thailand, this is allowed, but in Europe, it's illegal. This kid was 13 in 2012. I'm only 1 year younger than Luke. And let me tell you something, as a Scouse kid growing up at a similar time, most of us were definitely not in gyms learning how to fight each other. We were in our bedrooms trying to 360 kids off the top of the high-rise crane in MW2 and getting shouted at by our Mars for not cleaning our bedroom. Meanwhile, this kid was already upset he couldn't elbow someone's head off. That's a mindset of a future star. Most people don't know what they want to do in life at that age, but Luke already knew what he wanted to do and it was so violent. But to understand how he got to the UFC stage, we have to take it back to where this kid's obsession started. Chapter 2, the Thai kid. Before Luke was a kickboxing specialist, Luke was just a normal kid. He dabbled in judo at 5 years old, but he didn't stick to it. From 5 years old till 9 years old, he was just another kid living in Widnes. But then, at 9 years old, something changed. He started kickboxing, and honestly, even Luke isn't entirely sure why. He said it himself, he doesn't come from a fighting family. His family are just honest, working class people. But for some reason we don't know, Luke found himself loving combat sports. He started at TMAS in Fazakli, grinding through kickboxing before dedicating 5 years to Muay Thai. The records for kids Thai boxing are quite hard to come by, but by 13 years old, according to Luke himself on a Liverpool Echo article, he was already clocking in 20 fights with a record of 15-5, picking up European, English and British Muay Thai championships in the process. Most kids are playing footy on a Saturday, or if you were hermit like me, then you were strip mining for diamonds. But the whole time, while I was strip mining for my diamonds, Luke was travelling across the country learning how to trade leg kicks. At 19 years old, the realisation hit Luke. He didn't want to just strike. He wanted to dominate the entire combat sports game. He told his mum and his coach he was moving to MMA. Now this is where the competitive switch in Luke's head really shows. When his coach looked for a gym, most people said Next Gen MMA was the best, but some people suggested other places that had fighters his own age, places where he could fit in. Luke wasn't interested in fitting in. He saw those other kids, his age, as future competition, not teammates. He wanted to scrap them kids. He didn't want to be teammates with them. There was only one gym that matched Luke's drive and his intensity. That gym was Next Gen MMA. Chapter 3, Next Gen MMA. Walking into Next Gen at 19 years old was a massive reality check. In the Muay Thai world, Luke was a champion, but in a high-level MMA gym, if you can't grapple, you might as well be a punching bag that can talk. Luke himself has admitted in interviews that in his early days he was constantly getting taken down, flattened and beaten up. He was a world-class striker who had suddenly been dropped into a room full of killers who were just as dangerous on the ground as he was on the feet. But this is where that competitive switch really mattered. He didn't quit. He kept on showing up every single day, getting battered over and over until he started to figure it out. The best way to see how far Luke has come is to look at his friendship with the biggest name in the gym, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. On Paddy's podcast, Chat and Pony, Paddy admitted that whenever Luke would start lighting him up on the feet, which happened often, Paddy would immediately shoot for a takedown just to make the strike stop. It was his get out of jail free card, but Paddy followed that up with a terrifying warning for the rest of the UFC featherweight division. He told Luke, "Now I'm struggling to get you down, and when I do, it's fucking hard work keeping you there. I don't even catch you in submissions anymore." That transition from an easy target to a dangerous problem for anyone happened because Luke was sparring with a literal list of killers every single day. Liam Gittins, Nathan Fletcher, Shamrock, Adam Cullen, Paddy the Baddy, and many more. If you can survive a day sparring in that room, the actual fight day feels like a day off. It also helped that he was under the wing of Paul Rimmer, who in my opinion is the best MMA coach in the UK. But there was one training partner in particular who helped forge the Luke Riley we see today, Liam Gittins. They are similar in size and they both have a different kind of mindset. Some fighters hate hard sparring, but Liam and Luke both seem to be a bit tapped in the head and they absolutely love to fight. Their spars look less like practice and more like a full-on scrap. But according to Luke, as soon as the buzzer goes, they hug it out, and as he puts, that's how it should be. Luke unleashed his newfound game on the amateur scene, going a perfect 4-0 with 2 finishes. The Thai kid was officially gone. Luke, the Madman Riley as I like to call him, had arrived, and he was ready for the next level, Cage Warriors. Chapter 4, The Cage Warriors Rampage. I don't think Cage Warriors realised what they were letting into the building. Nobody could have predicted that he would go 11-0 in the promotion, with 8 of those wins coming by the way of a clinical knockout. His debut was in October 2021 against Camille. I'm not even saying his second name, I'll put it on the screen. Fuck that, I'll butcher that shit. Anyway, his debut was in October 2021 against this Camille kid. Now usually the prospects get protected. They get a striker that they can look good against. Luke got a grappler. On paper, that was his weakness. He'd only be training the ground game for a short time at Next Gen. And remember what Paddy said, the moment you light someone up on the feet, they're going to shoot for your legs. It took all of 2 minutes for Luke to show he wasn't just a striker. He pummeled for an underhook, defended the takedown, and worked his way back to space. And the second they had space, it was over. Camille looked like a fish out of water. Luke dropped him with a clean right hand and finished the job with ground and pound. If you watched that debut live, you knew. This wasn't just a bog-standard prospect. This was a fighter destined to become a star. He spent the next 2 years running circles around the bantamweight and featherweight division. He became the most avoided man on the roster. Think about it. Most fighters in Cage Warriors are using it as a catapult to get to the UFC. When a contract with Luke the Madman Riley's name on it gets slid across the table, suddenly people have injuries. Suddenly they aren't ready. They didn't want to risk their dream against a deadly knockout artist. And honestly, I don't blame them. Then came September 2023, the biggest fight of Luke's career. Luke Riley versus Alexander Loof. 5-0 versus 7-0. Someone's O had to go. This fight went viral for one reason. It was absolutely fucking nuts. Early on in the fight, Alexander Loof landed a head kick that Luke absolutely ate for breakfast. By the end of round 1, I'll be honest, I thought Loof had that round. He was landing the bigger shots and gave Luke a nasty cut. But in the final seconds, the momentum swung. Luke backed him up, landed a nasty combination, and only the buzzer saved Luke from being finished. Round 2 was even crazier. Luke came out aggressive, trying to capitalise on hurting Luke at the end of round 1. But Luke recovered and dropped Luke badly. This looked like the end. Luke was bleeding, he was dropped, and he had his back taken. But this is where the next-gen grappling training came in. He defended the choke, escaped a knee bar attempt, and stood back up. He was hurt, he was bloody, and he had a smile made of blood that made him look like the Joker. But even with all that, he still didn't take a single backstep. By round 3, Luke was knackered. So was Luke. But despite the war and despite the tiredness, Luke still had the better fundamentals. While Luke was winging tired punches, Luke was still a disciplined striker. He unleashed a combination that lasted 16 seconds. 30 punches. At that stage of the fight, when your arms are filled with lactic acid, that is superhuman. That combination earned Luke a round 3 TKO victory over Alexander Loof. Luke won Fight of the Year with that fight, climbed the cage to celebrate with Paddy and Molly, and officially caught the eye of Dana White. Chapter 5, Call from Dana White. Luke's dream of getting a call from Dana White became a reality. Dana White's Contender Series, September 2024. A chance to fight Kevin Vallejos and walk away with the UFC contract. You liking that little Vallejos? You like that accent? I should go do Spanish or something, mate. Anyway, yeah, as I was mentioning, you got a chance to fight Kevin Vallejos and walk away with the UFC contract. Or that's how it should have gone, at least. Instead of being in Las Vegas underneath the bright lights, Luke found himself stuck in a nightmare of paperwork. He had visa issues that wouldn't let him get into the US. He had to pull out of the biggest opportunity of his life. Luke admitted he was stressed to fuck for about a week. Most people would have sat on the couch and felt sorry for themselves. But Luke isn't most people. He rang his coaches and got straight back into the gym. He didn't want a holiday. He wanted someone else to pay for his frustration. Luke rang the owner of Cage Warriors, Graham Boylan, with one demand: get me a fight. He stepped back into the cage with them famous Cage Warriors yellow gloves, and he treated his next two opponents like they were the ones who personally denied his visa. He knocked out Alexandre Dos Santos Jr. in the first round, and then he absolutely chinned some fella called Tariel Abasov. I'm sorry, I'm so bad at doing these names. It just is what it is. Instead of moaning about his bad luck, he decided to become undeniable. He didn't need the Contender Series anymore. Dana White had seen enough. He didn't get a chance to earn a contract. He was signed directly to the big leagues. It was time for the UFC. Chapter 6, the big leagues. UFC 308. The moment Luke had been working for since those early days in Widnes had finally arrived. He was in Abu Dhabi, set to face Bogdan Grad. But this wasn't just a big night for Luke, it was a massive night for the whole next-gen family. His teammate, Shamrock, was also making a debut on the same card. Shem was up first, and unfortunately things didn't go to plan. He lost a tough fight against Nurolo Aliyev. Imagine the mental pressure. You're about to make the biggest jump of your career, and you've just watched your close friend and training partner lose their debut. Even Michael Bisping mentioned it in the commentary. He said, when your teammate gets beaten, a little bit of doubt can start to creep into your mind. We'll never know exactly what Luke was feeling in that locker room. We'll never know if he had nerves or if he was confident. But what we do know is how he responded. He didn't show a single flicker of doubt. In the first round, Bogdan managed to get a takedown and even took Luke's back. But unlike the Luke fight where we were all biting our nails, Luke looked completely composed. He was comfortable, he was technical, and with a minute left in the round, he worked his way back to the feet and then ended the round with not much happening on the feet. Round 1 to Bogdan. And then in round 2, the madman power showed up. 15 seconds into round 1. Luke landed a naughty left hook that sent Bogdan straight to the canvas. A few follow-up shots later and Mark Goddard had seen enough. Luke Riley had officially arrived in the UFC with a second round KO. Now, the eyes of the MMA world are on March 21st. UFC London. Luke is set to face Michael Aswell Jr. Aswell is 1-1 in the UFC and actually has a loss to Bogdan Grad on his record. He's 11-3 with 6 KOs and no submissions. Which tells me one thing: this is either going to be a high-level striking war or another quick demolition job by Luke. Personally, I reckon it's going to be another demolition job by Luke. It's officially come full circle. That 13-year-old kid who was complaining to the Liverpool Echo about shin pads and restricted elbows is now a UFC finisher. He's gone from the gyms of Liverpool to the co-main event in the biggest arena in the UK. What do you guys think? Does Luke stay undefeated and move one step closer to the rankings? Or is Michael Aswell a bigger threat than people realise? And more importantly, is Luke Riley the man to finally bring a world title back to Liverpool? I hope so. I hope someone does it. Him, Paddy, just anyone. Please do it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm looking forward to see what you guys thought of this video. The next video that I'm doing is a Shamrock video. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are as well. Let me know if you want a video on anyone else. And thank you for watching. Peace.